Okay everyone, welcome back to another highlights video on Gran Turismo from the FIA Manufacturers race at Kyoto, the small version in Group 4. This race was a tuning race which allowed setups, so yeah, it was an interesting one. So if you do enjoy these videos, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button and let me know in the comment section how you enjoy them, if you enjoyed this race, etc. And yeah, in qualifying, not the best qualifying ever. We managed to qualify down in P9, which slot number 1 of the day. This was top split, slot 1, first race of the day. Quite competitive. I think 410 points were up to 409 points were up for grabs. So yeah, let's see what we can do off the start. We've got the Subaru on our right there with the insane traction off the line. Look at that four-wheel drive go. And unfortunately, there's a little bit of an incident up ahead. You can see, I think, a bit of a misinterpretation of a gap. And Khalifa, unfortunately, is a loss in that incident. Nothing he could really do. Got squeezed onto the wall, and he loses out there at the start. So we're up one position, up into P8. So yeah, this is a very weird track, very short, 38 seconds or something like that, 39-second lap. As we come into the final section, we've got a bit of more chaos going on here. We've got a car in front there going very slow. We're going to go up the inside, try and take that position. We get hit from behind there from the Subaru, obviously. The Subaru was so good on this last section. You can see the traction off that thing was incredible, but we managed to get ourselves up to P7, and yeah, we gained 2 positions on lap 1. That's not too bad at all, considering we nearly got pushed wide on that corner, so we got away with it. And now we've just got to try and settle down. Now through here, the Ferrari, with the setup that I created, was pretty good through turn 1 and this next sector. There's no real moments with this car through here. It seemed to be steering really well through this fast flowing section. The only area of the track that was a little bit iffy was this right hand corner. Now the traction on my setup with the Ferrari was not particularly great, so yeah, we were just trying to get this car trying to get it through the laps, and it wasn't bad though. The setup was definitely competitive. In race pace we had pace to compete. As we go over the line there, still in P7. Just look how close the racing is. Obviously going to be very close with this type of track between the field, but I couldn't work out. I felt like in a way it was better to run without slipstream. Sometimes it's hard to judge though, because I hadn't done a proper run-in with this setup with being in a slipstream. But we're very close to Miyamu there in front of us there in the Subaru, putting him under a lot of pressure. We're going to have a little look up into the inside here, but also Khalifa has a little look there, and we can't go for that move. So it's kind of a defensive attacking move just to make sure we don't lose the position. And still we're into P6 now, because the Lamborghini of Agu, I'm not sure what happened. I think he must have had an issue, or he had to go away from his PlayStation or whatever, because he just basically auto-drived around the track. So yeah, there was obviously something going on there. But into P6 now. Can we get a good run and exit from this right hand corner? This was where the Ferrari, the setup that I created, was super strong on that right hand corner. It could carry so much more speed than the Subarus through there. But then again, you're going to see in the traction zone, that was the weakness of the Ferrari. But we've got a nice run up the inside now, brake as late as we can, and we're going to take that position. And Khalifa up the inside also is going to try and go for that position. He manages to squeeze up there into P6 also. So we're up to P5, a good start in this race so far. But now we've got a bit of a gap to the cars in front. You can see about 1.7, 1.8 seconds to the cars ahead. Khalifa is going to have a little look up the inside there into this right-hander. We're going to have to hang it round the outside. Now that is a thing with the Ferrari. It can carry incredible speed on the outside, you can see here. But Khalifa does get ahead a bit, but we've got a better run on the exit. We're going to have to back off though, you can see, off the throttle to let Khalifa go through there. And we're going to then try and go back up the inside now into the braking zone and try and retake that position for P5. You can see battling going on up ahead as well. So yeah, both groups are losing a bit of time. You can see the gap is around 2.1 seconds now. So we are losing a little bit of time, 2.2 seconds. We need to really get settled down and try and put some better lap times in. So we're going to go defensive into the braking. I think Khalifa at this point was going to start bump drafting us, because I think he realised we were probably losing time. But again, through this long right hand corner, you can see the difference with the Ferrari. The Ferrari was just so strong on this long right hand corner. It was just the final sector with the setup that I created wasn't quite as strong. It was a little bit loose on traction in third gear. But overall, I was pretty happy with the setup that I'd managed to do in a very limited time on the Saturday morning, making some changes to the gearing. We didn't go inverted on the gearing because I really don't like it. For some reason, I don't like the feel of inverted gearing, so we just did normal gearing and just changed it slightly. And also we changed some of the ride height, and that was pretty much it, and a few camber angle and toe angle changes to counteract the the higher ride height on the rear. So yeah, just changes to make it more stable. Again, as we go through this long right hand corner, and again We're going side by side, but again, the Ferrari able to carry that speed on the outside there with the ability through there. And again, Cleethorpes has to back out of that corner, and we managed to hold on to P5. But you can see we are losing time to the cars ahead, although we have actually gained on that lap to P4. We're actually gained about 3-4 attempts there, where we've still managed to do some reasonable pace even though we're battling. You can see 38 ones, 39 ones, 39 ones, pretty solid race pace so far. And we're going to go over the line with a 39.2, pretty much near enough a 39.1 as well, very close to a 39.1. So pace while we're battling isn't terrible. We're not losing massive amounts of pace. You can see actually we're 1.82 seconds behind, varying between that gap to the car in front. It was 2.3 before, so not losing huge amounts of time. We just got to try and find the rhythm and see if we can catch that group up, although it's going to be very, very hard because in the lead of that group is the Renault Megane. Now the Megane with the setup on this track was incredibly strong, especially with the tyre wear, because it could probably do this race without changing tyres and not really lose that much pace. But you can see Cleethorpes again getting that run off that final corner, very strong the Subaru off that final sector, but again giving us a little nudge in on the end of the straight, not really benefiting us massively because by the time we get the nudge we're pretty much lifting and coasting through the corner anyway, so not a huge advantage with the bump draft there. It would have been great if it would have been a little bit earlier in the straight, but yeah, obviously through this section the Ferrari was quite strong, so you can see we get a bit of a gap on that corner and the previous corner. But then look at the difference between this corner on throttle and the Subaru. The Subaru is able to just get on that traction with the four-wheel drive and just get much more power put down, and again through there gives us a bump draft there. That will help us out slightly on the exit of the corner because it'll boost our speed down the straight ever so slightly all the way into this long right hand corner. But again, you can see our pace is pretty similar to P4. We are gaining a little bit. We're up to 1.4 seconds behind him now, and it does look like he has lost the slipstream to P3. So this is good for us because if we can try and get ourselves up into P4, this will be a very strong finish for slot number 1 of the day. So into this long right hand corner, you can see that P3 in the other Ferrari is very close to P2. He's actually in the slipstream of the Alfa Romeo, which will be helping him out there, trying to, the Alfa and the Renault Megane, very, very strong cars on this track. So going over the line again, very short laps. These laps are just constantly going through them. Another solid lap, 39.1, which with full fuel was pretty good, I think, considering we had only spent a little bit of time on the setup in the morning. But yeah, fast forwarding through these laps here, you can see we're gradually getting closer to wheeling. It is only a matter of a tenth every now and then. You can see it's down to 1.2 seconds. He is in the Nissan GTR, which again, on this final sector here, was gaining a tenth on me every time. As we have a big moment there with Cleethorpes, as Cleethorpes goes to pit and has to back out of it. On the exit of the corner, he got a really strong exit and nearly T-boned us and nearly spun us, but luckily we managed to save that. But he had to actually bail out of the pit entry because he would have hit the wall. So yeah, he had bailed that out, and he's probably now lost about a second or so there. So let's see what happens now, as we've got a little bit of clean air, obviously, with no one behind us putting any pressure on us. So we just got to try and drive consistent and see if we can get as close as we can to wheeling, as we see that Haku has had a big moment there in the braking zone and has lost a lot of time. Now, the thing is though, that is now going to give the slipstream to wheeling. So let's see what happens. Are they going to battle it out though? Is wheeling going to go for the move up the inside? It looks like he's going to try and attack on the inside and gets himself up into P3. So yeah, interesting. Now we've got Haku to try and get the slipstream off as we're coming through this long right hand corner. You can see 1.1, 1.3, 1.4. It's just changing and fluctuating the gap between them. And it does look like Cleethorpes did go for an earlier pit stop to try and get a little bit of an undercut on some fresher tyres. So this will be interesting. I decided that we're going to pit on this lap 14, and then do 16 laps at the end, because the tyres were not a massive issue. The tyres were actually surviving reasonably well. So we're going to go in the pits this lap, as does Haku in the other Ferrari. And yeah, let's put a fresh set of tyres on and see where we come out now. So fast forward in the pit entry, out of the pit exit, and we have Steve Gaming there on the left hand side who hasn't pitted yet. I'm pretty sure that Steve Gaming was not running a setup, was running just the default setup, as we managed to stay ahead of Cleethorpes. That is the important thing. We managed to just about stay ahead. So with that little bit of an undercut, this track wasn't huge on undercut because it's only going to be worth 3 or 4 attempts. But as we come through here, we lose a little bit of time there as we see Steve Gaming just got no speed through the corners. My guess again is that he's just running the default setup that without changing. He might not have even known this race was a setup race at this point, because he didn't have any cornering speed. So yeah, luckily we avoided the contact and we're up into P6. And we've got Cleesful back behind us. He's going to have a little look up the inside. Is he? No, he just can't. The line on that Subaru is a little bit different to the Ferrari. I was able to hug the apex so much better with the Ferrari. Maybe it was partly the setup we were running as well. But yeah, we managed to hold on to the P6 as we're closing in on them 2 cars in front of us. So yeah, we're technically in P5, I think it is, because there's a car that hasn't pitted yet. So we've just got to wait for that car to go into the pits, and we will jump another place as we go through the final sector again. This is where the Ferrari was a little bit weak. We get a little bit of contact from Cleesful there. Again, very scary when we were getting that, because the car was going a little bit sideways on the exit, which I didn't really want. But yeah, we managed to go over the line on a 38.9. Not an amazingly fast lap. I felt we could definitely do better, but I was very worried about making a mistake in this race because we're in a good position here. I just wanted to keep it on the track and not overdrive the car. So this is where we were losing the pace, like I say. The final sector, I could have definitely done this better, but I was trying to be a little bit cautious. I did not want to lose the rear and maybe spin and have a big accident. So yeah, being a little bit cautious on the final sector and just trying to keep it consistent as we go over the line to finish another lap. And we've got a bit of a gap to Cleesful this time as we go over the line there, 39.0. Not an amazingly fast lap, but not a slow lap, and the gap again staying pretty static around 1.4. Managed to skip ahead now to lap 25, 26. The race was very static. We were gaining very slightly on the 2 in front of us. You can see the gap down to 1.2 seconds. So ourselves and Cleesful pushing. Cleesful was still bump drafting us at this stage, not really battling it out too much. Now, one thing, our tyres were probably going to be a little bit fresher than Cleesful because he pitted that 1 lap earlier, and obviously in the Subaru the tyres not quite as good as the Ferrari. And we are gaining on these 2 cars in front of us. You can see Haku in the Ferrari trying to get himself up into that P3 position. So we've got to stay on it here and try and put them under pressure, because if they make a mistake or they battle or a penalty or something, we can take advantage and maybe get another position. But yeah, we've only got a couple of laps to go. You can see Cleesful still going to bump draft us there. So it's pretty obvious he was going to do this all the way up until the last lap and then try and go for a move, obviously, on the last lap. So I was pretty confident he wouldn't go through that move until the very last possible opportunity. So yeah, we're getting very close. So you can see the gap still at 1.2 seconds, and we've not really lost a massive amount of ground to P3 and P4. And P2 is not too far in the distance as well, as Haku goes for that move on the inside, manages to make it, and Wheeling tries to get a good exit off the corner, but he's just not able to get out of the corner as well. So you can see the Ferrari, I think it looked like Haku had a better setup for that final sector than my car did. But maybe through some of these other corners, the setup on my Ferrari was a little bit better through this corner, for example. But yeah, very different. It's quite interesting. I suppose some people will enjoy these setup races. They're not my favourite. I do still prefer default setups, but it is learning and teaching us stuff about Gran Turismo with the setup. So maybe if GT7 does have these setup races every now and then, at least we might know a little bit more now, because we managed to create a pretty solid setup here. But yeah, into the final few laps, you can see we got the slipstream there off of Wheeling, but again, that Nissan with the 4-wheel drive, so strong out of that final corner. And again, Cleesful with that strong exit there, giving us a little bit of a bump draft. We're still in the slipstream though, just about in the slipstream as we go into this long right hand corner. You can see that Wheeling is having a little look up on the inside of that Ferrari, but again, the Ferrari very strong through this turn 1. This was the strength for the Ferrari, this little sector here, and then this next few corners here, which were no issue with the Ferrari of my setup I was running. I was able to go completely flat through here, taking really nice lines and not really running wide there. It was really consistent through that section as we get into the braking zone. And again, 4 tenths behind now to Wheeling, getting very, very close. It's almost like a couple more laps with the tyre wear kicking in on that GTR, and we might have been able to get a little bit closer. So this lap though, we're going to have to go defensive. This is going into the final lap now. So Cleesful is going to try and go around the outside, but again, we know that the Ferrari is very strong on this corner. So we just try and hug that inside, let the car coast a little bit, then back on the throttle, and then just try and get a strong exit while we're in the slipstream. So we're managing to hold on to the P5 at this stage, and we've just got a couple of corners to go as we go into this right hand corner. It does look like Wheeling gets a little bit of a moment there, nearly runs wide. Can we go for a move? We're too far back to really send it. If we were a little bit closer there, might have been able to send it up the inside after we made that mistake. But yeah, in P5, it's going to be a P5 by the time we go over the line. There's nothing we can really do at this stage as we get the slipstream. And yeah, a pretty solid race as Cleesful goes for a spin over the line, just about makes it before the cars behind them go over the line. And yeah, some pretty solid points. I was pretty happy with that. I decided to take them points because, yeah, with this race being a little bit unpredictable with the standing start, a P5, first lot of the day. The points were going to drop off through the night, and that was 341 points in the bag. So yeah, very happy. Hope you lot enjoyed that race. It was a little bit boring in the middle stage, but yeah, there were some good moments in there. And yeah, 341 points, so we'll definitely take that. Thanks again for watching, everyone. I'll be back with more videos in the future. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and yeah, see you all soon.